Priscilla Presley as trustee of her estate, naming Riley instead. With Lisa Marie gone and Riley's brother Benjamin deceased, Riley would now control everything: Graceland, the rights to Elvis's image, music catalogs, and hundreds of millions in assets. But Priscilla wasn't willing to step aside. Just days after her daughter's funeral, she filed a legal challenge questioning the validity of the amendment. Priscilla's legal team argued the amendment wasn't properly witnessed or notarized. They also claimed Lisa Marie's signature appeared inconsistent with her usual signature. The media painted it as a vicious family feud, the grieving grandmother fighting the bereaved granddaughter for control of the king's kingdom. But behind the sensational headlines lay a more complex truth about duty, protection, and what it really means to preserve a legacy. Riley Keough maintained public silence throughout the dispute. A source close to her would later reveal she was heartbroken that private family matters had spilled into public view while she was still deeply mourning her mother. To understand Priscilla's perspective, we have to look back at her unique position in the Presley story. For almost 5 decades, she had been the primary guardian of Elvis's legacy. When he died in financial trouble, it was Priscilla who transformed Graceland into a tourist attraction that saved the estate from being sold off to pay debts. "Everything I've done has been to protect Elvis's legacy for Lisa Marie. That's been my life's work," Priscilla had said in earlier interviews. Sources close to Priscilla suggest she worried that at 33, Riley lacked the experience to manage such a complex business empire. She may have viewed her legal challenge as protecting not just her own interests, but the Presley legacy itself. Meanwhile, Riley was processing unimaginable grief. In just 3 years she had lost her brother to suicide and her mother to heart failure. Now she faced the burden of preserving 3 generations of Presley history. The legal battle wasn't just about money or control, it was about honoring her mother's final wishes. As the case moved through the courts, both women maintained dignified public personas, never directly attacking each other. Behind the scenes, however, tension mounted over everything from business decisions to burial arrangements. One particularly sensitive issue was Priscilla's long-standing request to be buried at Graceland beside Elvis when her time came. With Lisa Marie now buried there too, alongside her son Benjamin, the family plot had become yet another point of contention. When asked about the matter, Riley reportedly said, "Of course she should be buried here. This is her home too." According to insiders, it was this moment, Riley's immediate affirmation of Priscilla's place in the family legacy, despite their legal battle, that opened the door to reconciliation. In May 2023, 4 months after Lisa Marie's death, both parties reached a settlement. Riley would become sole trustee, officially taking control of her mother's estate. Priscilla would receive a one-time settlement payment reported to be around $1 million, a fraction of the estate's value, but enough to confirm that money had never been her primary motivation. Clarity has been had, and the families are happy. "Together we can preserve and protect the Presley legacy," Priscilla told reporters outside the courthouse. The brief statement spoke volumes. Clarity had been achieved, not just legal clarity, but emotional clarity, about how to move forward as a family. What happened next surprised many who had followed the bitter dispute. Instead of separating completely, Riley and Priscilla began working together. Sources close to both women revealed that once the legal questions were settled, they found common ground in their shared mission to protect Elvis and Lisa Marie's legacies. Witnesses described seeing grandmother and granddaughter walking the grounds of Graceland together, Priscilla pointing out historical details and sharing stories that only she would know, passing down not just management of the estate, but its heart and soul. For Riley, stepping into her role as trustee meant embracing a heritage that was simultaneously a blessing and a burden. As an established actress with her own career, she now had to balance her professional life with the enormous responsibility of managing the Presley business interests. "I'm learning every day, there's so much history here that deserves to be protected and shared with the world," Riley would later say about her new responsibilities. Rather than abandoning her own path, Riley found ways to integrate her artistic sensibilities with her new responsibilities. Under her guidance, the Presley estate began exploring fresh approaches to preserving Elvis's legacy for new generations, while maintaining the careful stewardship Priscilla had established. Meanwhile, Priscilla focused on her own projects, including supporting Sofia Coppola's film Priscilla, telling her side of the Elvis story. But tellingly, at major Elvis-related events, the two women increasingly appeared together, presenting a united front. A royal family had been fractured by grief and misunderstanding, then forged anew through compromise and mutual respect. But the journey wasn't simply about resolving legal disagreements, it was about redefining family in the face of tremendous loss. For Riley, the settlement meant more than gaining control of an empire. It meant fulfilling her mother's final wishes while honoring the grandmother who had preserved that empire in the first place. Sources say Riley often visits Graceland early in the morning before tourists arrive, spending quiet moments in the rooms where her grandfather made music and her mother grew up. In those moments, she isn't an heiress managing a business empire, she's simply a daughter and granddaughter, connecting with her family's past. Under Riley's stewardship, Graceland continues to welcome hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. The business of being Elvis generates approximately $100 million annually. Beyond the financial success, Riley has made subtle changes that reflect her mother's vision, while respecting the foundation Priscilla built. Riley brings fresh eyes to everything. She understands this legacy differently than I do, but that's exactly what's needed now. Priscilla has said of her granddaughter's leadership. For her part, Riley has publicly acknowledged her grandmother's decades of work preserving the Presley name. Insiders say she regularly consults Priscilla on matters where her experience and historical knowledge prove invaluable. The story of the Presley women reveals how inheritance can be both financial and emotional, how the transfer of power between generations requires not just legal documents, but understanding and grace. Elvis once sang that we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. Decades later, his daughter and granddaughter would learn that rebuilding a family after tragedy requires setting suspicion aside. The amendment that triggered their conflict ultimately led to a new understanding, one that honored Lisa Marie's wishes while recognizing Priscilla's lifetime of dedication. Today, visitors to Graceland can pay respects at the graves of Elvis, Lisa Marie and Benjamin. Someday, Priscilla too will rest in this sacred family ground. The garden stands as a poignant reminder of the human cost behind the Presley legacy, and the quiet strength of the women who carry that legacy forward. Riley Keough never expected to become the keeper of the Presley flame. But in accepting that role, she's written a new chapter in her family's story, one where conflict gives way to collaboration, and legacy becomes not a burden, but a bridge between generations. The battle for Graceland wasn't won in a courtroom. It was won in the quiet moments when two grieving women looked beyond their pain and found common purpose. Elvis left behind an empire of music and Lisa Marie preserved her father's legacy, while creating her own. Now Riley carries both forward, not alone, but with the wisdom of those who came before. A mysterious amendment once threatened to destroy a family already damaged by loss. Instead, it forced them to confront what truly matters, not who controls the Presley name, but how that name lives on through those who love the people behind it. In the end, Graceland isn't just a home or a business, it's where a family found its way back to each other through the music, the memories, and the love that built an empire. The Presley saga continues to captivate public imagination, not because of its celebrity, but because it reflects universal truths about family dynamics. Power transitions between generations rarely happen smoothly, especially when grief complicates the process. What makes this story remarkable is how quickly reconciliation followed conflict. Industry insiders note that similar disputes in celebrity estates have dragged on for decades, permanently fracturing families. The speed with which Riley and Priscilla found common ground speaks to their shared values despite their different perspectives. Perhaps most poignantly, both women understood something essential about the Presley legacy: it was never meant to divide them. Elvis himself had always emphasized family above fame and fortune. Lisa Marie, despite her complicated relationship with celebrity, had worked to protect her children from its harsher aspects, while ensuring they understood their heritage. In honoring their loved ones' memories, Riley and Priscilla ultimately honored each other. Financial experts estimate that the Presley estate generates between $75 to $100 million annually. Beyond Graceland, which attracts approximately 600,000 visitors each year, the estate includes rights to Elvis's image and likeness, his music catalog from RCA, publishing rights to over 1,000 songs, and merchandising agreements across the globe. Managing such complex assets requires both business acumen and cultural sensitivity, balancing profit with preservation of artistic integrity. Under Riley's guidance, the estate has begun exploring new ways to introduce Elvis to younger generations, while maintaining the authenticity that Priscilla established as the cornerstone of the Presley brand. This includes careful licensing for film and television projects, targeted social media strategies, and thoughtful collaborations with contemporary artists influenced by Elvis's groundbreaking work. Cultural historians note that few celebrity estates have maintained such relevance decades after the star's death, a testament to the stewardship first of Priscilla, then Lisa Marie, and now Riley. As Riley has grown into her role as trustee, those close to her note a transformation. The grief-stricken granddaughter, thrust into an unwanted spotlight, has become a confident guardian of her family's legacy. She brings her filmmaker's eye to preserving Elvis's story, while adding her own chapter to the narrative. Priscilla, meanwhile, has found a new role as elder stateswoman, respected advisor rather than active manager. The women now appear together at major Elvis-related events, their body language reflecting their reconciled relationship. People who know both women describe a mutual respect that has deepened over time. They're very different personalities, one insider notes, but they share an absolute dedication to protecting what Elvis and Lisa Marie built. That dedication extends beyond business matters to the deeply personal aspects of the Presley legacy. Both women understand that Graceland is more than a tourist attraction. It's the physical embodiment of a story that belongs partly to the public, but primarily to their family. A mysterious amendment created to protect a daughter's wishes initially separated a grandmother from her granddaughter. Yet that same document ultimately became the foundation for a stronger relationship, one built on clarity, compromise, and shared purpose. As visitors stand before the graves in the meditation garden, they witness not just the end of lives, but the continuation of a legacy, spanning generations. Elvis Presley changed music forever. His former wife preserved and expanded his empire. Their daughter navigated the complex burden of celebrity inheritance. Now their granddaughter carries forward a torch, illuminating not just what was, but what could be. This legacy isn't just about looking back, Riley has said. It's about bringing everything my grandfather stood for, creativity, authenticity, connection, into the future. A billion-dollar empire once hung in the balance. Two grieving women stood on opposing sides, but in the end what saved the House of Presley wasn't legal arguments or financial settlements. It was the recognition that some things matter more than control: family, memory, and the love that built Graceland in the first place.